Hi there, my name is Nathan Mills, and I want to welcome you back to Music with Mills. In this show, I create music just kind of from scratch, trying to build a song based off of maybe an idea or an instrument or a theme. So I'd invite you to come over to my table and join along with me in this process. So I've got set up here a keyboard, an electric guitar, and some software I've got running on my computer. And let's just start kind of messing around with instruments and see if we can find maybe something that we can use as a jumping off point for this song. So I think what I might try to do, just how I'm feeling at this particular moment, is starting off with maybe a bass sound. So I've just opened up a library here in the software, and I'm going to start choosing different bass sounds and using the keyboard to play through them, and we'll see if we can find maybe something that we're feeling would be a good place to start a song. Don't know, that is a fun sound. I'm not sure it's what I'm looking for though. Okay, so I'm just kind of filtering through the large library of basses I've got going on here until I find something that I think I want to start with. Okay. So I might start with this bass, and I'm going to add one delay and one reverb, just kind of to the rack of this instrument I've got going on, and we'll see what that sounds like with some delay and reverb. I like that chord pattern, but I might just use the A, E, and C there. So I'll start recording, we'll see what that sounds like. And I've just set the tempo on the metronome here in the software I've got, so we'll see what that sounds like. It sounds pretty close. And so yeah, so I think what I'm going to do, maybe just that, maybe even just G, E, C. Maybe I might stay with the E, C, A. We'll see. I'll just start recording here and we'll kind of see what happens. Okay, I think I might stick with that because I was liking the way that sounded. So let's go back in and record that. You might have noticed that didn't quite match up with the time signature we had going on, so it might sound a little bit funky with what we've going on, but I kind of like that, so we'll see if we can repeat that. And so now what I'm going to do is go into the software here and just quantize those notes, which hopefully just means that anytime I was playing notes a little too early or a little too late, it will be kind of fixed by the software I've got going. So let's see what that sounds like. And I might even change where these notes lie and just kind of move them around in the music I've got going on here so that there's some pauses in between things. We'll see what that sounds like. I do think I am going to stick with that. So I'll get those measures in there and start up a little repeating section here just so that I can continue playing that as I'm working with other instruments. So that was a bass sound, or at least in the library of basses that I had from my keyboard there. But you might notice that it's kind of high up in the range of instruments there. So what I might do is go back into the bass library I have and see if I can find maybe a sound that is deeper and lower to complement that as it's going along. Okay. I do like that sound is deep, but it's a little bit too crunchy. So we'll just keep going through these. I think that might be what I'm looking for. So let's try recording with that and see what that sounds like. Now I'm going to go into the software with what we've just recorded and just kind of go through that same process of quantizing those notes or just pulling them into the tempo so that the mistakes I made are kind of negated. And I'm just pulling the lengths too of the notes here so that it matches those kind of rests of notes that we had with that first instrument. So far, I'm pretty happy with that. What I might do here, though, is I've got more of that second note than I do of that first note going on here. So what I might do is pull this out, just so that everything, kind of with those rests, we've got a weird sound going on. So I'll try to make it a little more uniform. It's getting closer to something I'm looking for, just as I'm kind of messing around with it. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that into another section to continue working with. And I might start at this point, now that I've got those notes working with the bass I've got there, kind of that lower section bass, I've got the notes set up, so I might start adding effects here. Just to see if I can maybe make it a little more interesting, to fill some more space so that I don't have to add further instruments to fill that space. We can just make the one instrument kind of spread out more. So what I might do is that's pretty nice. What I'm going to go in and do now is change the volume of that kind of while it's like oscillating with that repeating you could hear that I added there. So it's got just regular is this, and then I added just something called the Bach 16th, which just repeats that note. And what I might do is change the volume of those notes to get kind of an effect that makes it a little less harsh. So I'm gonna go in and start adding that in the software. And usually it doesn't take too long. It doesn't always sound great with every instrument, at least in my opinion, I found. So what I might do is just add it here to one measure, and then if I don't like it, just kind of take it out. So you can hear the volume is still pretty high with it. So what I might do is just bring down the amount that the volume's going, bring that bottom a little bit even lower to make the volume just a teeny bit quieter. We'll see what that sounds like. Now, I'm pretty happy with that effect, although what I might do now is see if I can find maybe another bass sound in that library that matches that a little better. So, and I'll solo out that bass track I've got just so I can kind of work with it by itself. And we'll see if we can find, okay, so I like that sound. I'm wondering, so what I'm gonna do now, I do like that sound a lot, although it's a little bit quieter, that instrument is a little bit quieter than what I was working with before. So I'm gonna pull up that oscillating pattern I was talking about with the volume. I'm gonna pull that up a little bit. We'll see what that sounds like. So I'm pretty happy with that. And also what I'm gonna do now is add some reverb to that bass that we just finished. Just to kind of tie it together with the instrument we had first. And again, kind of filling more space with one instrument rather than adding more. So I just added basement reverb to that, which I'll show you without, it still fills up a good amount of space, and then with that basement reverb just kind of makes it a little thicker. So at this point, what I might do is add a drum track to try to keep the rhythm as I move forward just so that I don't have to have that metronome on the entire time. So I'm going to start opening up just different drums I've got here in a folder, just like I had done with those basses, kind of looking through that folder of instruments. There's a folder of different drum kits that I'll be looking through to see if... Okay. I think I have a general idea of the beat I'm looking for, so let's see if I can record it. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and, again, just as I had mentioned, kind of over and over in this process, quantizing those notes just to kind of fix the errors that I naturally have going, maybe a little bit too soon or a little too late recording notes on that keyboard, and especially with drums, that kind of helps just to keep everything kind of locked together. And I'm pretty happy with that drum sound. What I might do is change that second noise. So you can hear in that kind of rest of the first instrument we've got that clap going kind of high. So that particular instrument in this drum set is just a rim hit. What I might do though is change it to the second time to a different sound here. We'll see what that sounds like. So what I might do is there's a second rim hit in this kit, and I'll just go ahead and use that, and then I'm going to pull up that second rim hit. I don't know if you heard it right there, kind of that odd note out, but it was a little quieter, so what I might do is pull up the volume and then listen to that once and see what that sounds like. So then you've got the rest and that hit that kind of is jarring, and then hopefully the second one is a little quieter. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the way that's turning out. So what I might do here is just kind of copy and paste that and pull that out so that we can start working with maybe a guitar part for that. So now the guitar rack I've got set up so far just has one delay and one reverb. So what I might do is change the reverb to a reverb called church reverb, which just, as you might guess, emulates the sound of this particular guitar in a church setting or any instrument that you use that reverb on. And then for the delay, I think I'm going to use a delay that is called out of orbit, which is pretty piercing as opposed to other delays that kind of fade out. This one stays pretty loud, which I think might sound pretty cool. And then the last effect I'm going to add here is I think a little bit of overdrive, and we'll see what that sounds like. And I'm going to make the overdrive not super powerful, so I might pull down just kind of all of its parameters, and we'll see. I'll get my guitar here and we'll see what that sounds like. I'm thinking probably what I'm going to be looking for with that is a little more of maybe kind of like a melody or something. We'll see. The bass I've got going on now I'm definitely happy with, but I do think that at this point in the song making process it's time for a little bit of melody, so we'll see. And again, that chord pattern is just repeating itself over and over, which is kind of nice when you're trying to find a guitar riff. A general idea of what I want to record. So I might just start recording and it'll record over itself if we make any mistakes. I'm pretty happy with the way that initially turned out. So I'm gonna go ahead and set my guitar down and then just go into the software with that kind of block, that chunk that we just recorded, and we will see if we can maybe add a little bit more volume to it. I was liking the distortion, but I think what I might do is pull that up just a teeny bit. So we'll see. And I also might do the same kind of quantizing that I was talking about earlier, where all the notes are kind of brought into rhythm, just a little smoother. Let's see. Happy with the way that turned out. What I might do, and what you might have seen me do multiple times on this show, and I do it typically when I'm trying to just add a dimension to a guitar part, is I'll duplicate what we just recorded in its own track and then bring that up an octave just in the software rather than recording it again at a higher octave. And then usually with that higher octave, I'll go ahead and bring the reverb up a little bit and then the volume down a little bit, just so that it meshes well with the initial guitar part but doesn't kind of overpower it. I'm pretty happy with that. So what I might do is copy and paste that rhythm we've got going on there, just like we did before, and then I'm going to go ahead and add another guitar layer and stop this here and see if we can find, so that's a pretty good rhythmic section going on there, I think, but I'm going to go ahead and try to make more of maybe a melody with this guitar. So I'm just going to go back in, and those guitar parts we just recorded will continue going, and I will see if I can make maybe just kind of riff around and see if there's a melody that kind of pops out. This particular point, so this kind of happens to me a lot, and I think pretty often within a creative process as you're painting maybe, or maybe photography even, just any sort of creative process where you have an idea in your head and you picture kind of that sound or that look or that shot that you're looking for, and you try something out and it doesn't necessarily work. So I would encourage you, if you're making music with me or just being inspired creatively and making art at all, if something doesn't work out exactly right with what you're looking for, I mean, if you're making art, then really the only opinion that matters is your own. So with that instance, it didn't quite sound right, so giving up on a particular part of a project like that is never a big problem for me, and I'd encourage you, if something doesn't work out perfectly, to not get too attached to any one part. So I'm gonna see if maybe what's missing is a little more bass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a category of sounds I have here called booms, and we'll see if we can maybe find something there that we're looking for. That's particularly what I'm looking for. I might just keep going through that category of booms I've got going on. Ooh, what I might actually do, so I'm gonna go into the pads quickly here and we'll see we'll see if we can maybe find a pad to fill some high space. So I'm gonna pull the octave up, and I'm gonna go add some overdrive, and then I think I'm gonna add a little bit of delay, and then I will add a lot of reverb to this so that it kind of draws itself out. So I'm gonna add a reverb called Cathedral Reverb, which again, similar to that church reverb, is just gonna kind of emulate this instrument in that environment. So let's see what that would sound like. Okay, now I'm pretty happy with that. I might make the attack a little slower and add a teeny bit of softness in this instrument, and we'll see what that sounds like. And I'll just start recording and kind of messing around. If we get anything wrong, we can always change it. Pretty happy with that, although I might move those last two notes I had a little bit. Let's see. Okay. We'll see what that sounds like all together here. What I might do is even add another reverb to this, adding a reverb called Large Factory here. And then I do like that sound a lot, but I think it's a little bit too loud maybe for what I'm looking for. So I'm gonna go ahead and just lower the volume of that a bit, and then add a little more reverb. I think that's pretty good. So what I might do now is just in that final section, maybe mess around with adding some hi-hats or something, just so that there's a little more rhythm. Okay, so I'm just gonna record some notes and then finish the rest of the hi-hats in software, so. Okay. So really all I usually record when I'm doing hi-hats is that first little bit there, and then I'll go into the software and kind of change things out. And then I think I might repeat that last note here and see what that sounds like. And we'll go ahead and play that. I'm pretty happy with that, and then I'll just kind of repeat that throughout the drums I've got here. And I'm pretty happy with that, but I might change the hi-hat noise it's using there. And that's even a little bit less. So with this hi-hat noise in my mind, I'm kind of just picturing something pretty crisp. So just kind of messing around in the drum library I've got here until I find something that kind of matches that. I like that. That's not quite as crisp, but I do like the sound of it. What I might do is just leave that and bring the volume down. Okay, so now that seems like something I'm pretty happy with, so let's start that from the beginning and see kind of what we've created in this short amount of time. So starting with that, it is a bass sound or comes from the bass library, but definitely is higher in frequency and has those fun little pauses in it. And then that just transitions directly into this drum section we have with the other actual bass noise. Same library, but with kind of a thicker noise. And in these transitions too, here especially coming up with this guitar, typically you could add maybe a crash cymbal or a ride cymbal or something like that to kind of differentiate those two sections, but I think for what we're doing here, that's definitely fine, just having it start doing its own thing. And then this last section, we've got that kind of high pad going on that's grungy, which is, I think, a good sound, and I might even add a teeny bit more reverb. And then one of the nice things too about using those several instruments rather than more and making them thick is that when it ends like this, that reverb kind of lets everything trail off, which I think is a pretty good way to end that little riff song kind of creative process we had. So I'd like to thank you so much for joining with me in making a song from nothing. And I hope that you were creatively inspired, whether that's to maybe make art or paint or go take pictures somewhere or make music with me or by yourself. So I do hope that you were inspired or relaxed or had fun in some sort of way. And I do hope to see you again next week, and thank you so much for watching. When the moon hits the sky like, no, what do you want, a funny one, or do you want?